Just the journey of the module of case taking and how it went in last 21 years. Then you will understand where it is going and why it is going in that direction. Yeah. Most of you are aware that since last 21 years, I'm talking about simple, a module of case taking, which is multi-dimensional. When I say multi-dimensional, what I mean is not from a one book, one method, one system oriented approach, but from a many book, many system, many method oriented. Then I spoke about this whole method of case taking, which is simple, scientific, and reproducible in my book, Scientifically Intuitive Case Witnessing Process, the Journey of Three Steps, where those three steps initially, step one, you give an open space, you ask patient centric, age centric, stage centric open question. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Then guide them in a different stage of their life, different situations of their life, in their personal, professional life, in their subconscious illness. And with this 7-8 areas, many peculiar characteristic comes up, what we call homeopathic characteristic symptoms. And amongst them, there are some symptom which comes up again and again in different stage, different situation, conscious, subconscious, or illness. Naturally, those become holistic, right? So once that holistic, which different master give a different name, Hahnemannian call PQRS at holistic level, Kantian call it totality at holistic level, Boningausen people say grand generalization, Boger calls synergy, and you go on. Sensation school calls sensation and synergy. Some call core, some call synthesis. But idea is those symptoms which are in different stage, different situation, in a way holistic. Once you get that symptom, you start second step of case taking, which is once you have that holistic key in your hand, you make sure that that key is right. What if it is wrong? Then the whole journey would be wrong. Once you make sure, then you are convinced, then you don't go to any area but that key. And you keep asking about that key till the whole comes in, front of us, right? Many of you are aware of this. Then, yes, like how I many times since last 21 years, one example I remember I'm using it constantly is this kind of puzzle piece of rat where in a different stage, different situation in mind, in a conscious and subconscious, you have the scattered symptoms. Yeah. And then you see the master key. Once you see the master key, which is in every, you ask about it in a second step. And when everything start getting connected, you are very sure and you keep asking till all the scattered piece connected together in a single whole. In this mouse example, almost which I remember in 2002 or 3, one of my patient made this. Since then, it is with me. This worked for me very well. And then people started asking me what about children? And that's where the same module of case taking, 3-step, but child centric, I wrote in my book called A Wonder with a Little Wonder. And the idea is that in this 3-step, you will explore those areas in passive case taking which are child friendly. subconscious like fear, dreams, imagination, daydream. Yeah, art area, some artistic questions according to the age of the child, imaginary age, teenage, like that. Some guided methods according to their age, yeah, and child centric diary. This area worked very well in child centric module. Yeah, and gradually the child centric case taking I divided into non-verbal children, which, yeah, then children, those who can speak up to 7, that is imaginary age, and teenage. And then all the question in this module for each are different. It started, and then of course people started again raising the questions about non-verbal, that is children below 1.5 year, or special children, what we call uniquely able children. And this is where then the next module which I gave, I remember for last 10 years almost, I'm speaking about the module in uniquely able children, where the 5 step, yeah, that exploring the 5 areas: physician's observation, parents' observation, mother's history during pregnancy, physician's examination finding, and a pattern running through and through in this 2 or more than this 2 area. I'm sure all over world I've shown you cases of special children of different types. This Once this happened, this is I'm talking 10 years back. I started working on, since I was in a sensation school, and we were branded as that we can only do mental, emotional, functional, reversible cases and not deep pathological cases. And this is where I had started writing a book 10 years back about, cases, cancer cases, psychiatric cases, organ transplant cases. This is 10 years back, and I almost finished in 2015 or somewhere there, but I never published. One of the reasons was, of course, when I look back, was that for such cases, organ transplant and all, I need follow up at least 5 years or more than 5 years. Yeah, then I'll be able to speak about it, and many of them. That's why I waited. But another thing happened at that time. Interestingly, as you all, many of you know, I had in 2016 a health crisis. So after that, my heart issue, I took a 6-month break. And that's where that question started. I started seeing my cases. And that 6 month, I saw that many cases, especially homeopath, psychiatrist, psychologists, physicists, the people who's very logical, very well Wikipedia or Google brain, very systematic. I failed in them a lot, and especially genuine homeopaths. I'm not talking about those who have just kind of knowledge or practical knowledge or something. I'm talking genuine. A genuine homeopath come to me, very perfectionist, deep depth, sensitive soul. And he starts that this is who I am in my chief complaint: location, sensation, modality, concomitant. This is who I am in all my generals. This is who I am in my thought, fear, feeling, dreams, imagination. This is who I am in every stage, every situation of my life, conscious, subconscious. And you can't go wrong because he's genuine, deeps who want to understand himself. He's not faking. And I know he's not faking. And I got all characteristic, holistic characteristic, all to prescribe. And I give the remedy. Amongst those 10 cases, 7 to 8, nothing happens. And that's high number, 70 to 80%. Now, this is where I started understanding that this logical, learned brain people, when they give me a case, what they do is they have very well made that in present situation, with present illness, with present mental condition, this is the characteristic. And they start seeing the similar in the past, in different situations, in different age, in subconscious, everywhere the same. They only recollect what is like this. So I am getting everywhere. The peculiars are coming everywhere, but they are given by the logic brain. And that's where, in that break, I started seeing myself where in my own self where I'm going wrong. And when I started looking that I need a method where in my existing case taking module, which I call foolproof module, I need some questions at each stage of case taking, some artistic question and methods which can directly take me to that spontaneous, natural individuality of him and not what he's taken from outside. And that's where I wrote a book called Right Brain Approach in Homeopathy, which I'm sure last 1.5 year I'm talking about it. Yeah. And luckily, after selling all the copies, I know that, it beautifully that all those questions which can be used in our existing module of case taking, yeah, where in characteristic can come up from that spontaneous natural brain, an extra tool of artistic questions and method in different age, different situation, and difficult condition or difficult pathology. Of course, last 1 year and my last workshop, I do once a year only this one, whenever I do new. The last one was the right way of using right brain approach. Some of you were there. Yeah. Then, of course, so I started using this in the module. Then people started asking me questions because it was right brain. It gives almost like that intuitive artistic method. All classical homeopaths, India and all across. For last 4 years since I'm teaching and since last 1.5 years since the book is out. That this is difficult to use in many conditions. Yeah. And they, of course, started asking me question that what you do in a psychiatric condition where patient has become one-sided, where the answer, whether it is psychosomatic or somatopsychic, the the symptoms are coming at only mind level. How will you design a module there? And with a different kind of psychiatric disorder type, what you will do? How will you, decide characteristic? Same, they kept asking me about deep irreversible pathology, which recently I spoke in many parts with 2 days, 3 days, 6 days on that. that we have degenerative type of deep pathology and we have proliferative type of degenerative disease. Like your cells are dying, either like a heart failure or say liver disorder or kidney, all what brain, and one where the cells are proliferating like virus, like autoimmune, like cancer, right? Like that. What you will do in a cases where the people are stuck in a low level of experience, a people who cannot go to the characteristic, they give you a language of disease, situational language, whether in personal, professional, in different stages of life, wherever you take them. I'm sure out of our 10 cases, 5 are like that, no? Then, of course, is there a module in coma and the organ transplant? A new organ coming into your body. And of course, the module of the once we have failed, reassessment. And they say it's easy to give a second remedy. We take the case, something new comes up. How to be second time scientifically correct that I'm on a right track? Do we have a that foolproof module? Then, yeah, the posology. Naturally, this is the topic many have tried, many. Do we have simple, reproducible posology module which is based on actual homeopathic principle and not just the disease, which can be applied in all different ways based on posology, based on the principles of homeopathy. So when these questions and many more, and this is where with this first six especially, so I thought let's start talking about.